Hello students, welcome to our 7th class, and in today's class we are going to be making the 4 different beaded handle types. The first one right here is the single string handle. The second is the mat, and the mat here I have just one row. It could be done in 2 or 3 rows. Then we move on to the tubes. This one right here, which is the third, is the 3x4 tube, and the fourth handle is a 4x4 tube. So let's get right into the class. Okay, for our first handle, which is the single string handle, it is very easy. You see this on many beaded bags. So all it entails is to insert beads on a single string. Okay, so you're just putting beads just like that on a string. So you could do it in 2 strings or 3 strings, but you're not doing like any difficult design. You're just inserting beads in the string. Okay, so you can do this with big beads, long beads. You can do it however long you want, however short you want, depending on the type of bag that you're making or the tutorial that you're following. Okay, so you just string it like this. In our 9th class, I'm going to show you how to attach each of these handles to the bag. Okay, so make sure you get to our 9th class in order to see how to attach these handles. So our second handle is the mat handle, and by now you guys already know how to do the mat. It is literally the first and the second class that we had for this series, but I'm just going to show you guys again. You just string 4 beads on one end of your fishing line, then you cross with the 4th bead, and you're going to have a cross like this, or you call it a circle of 4 or a ring of 4. And to continue, you're going to insert your fishing line, insert 1 bead into the fishing line on your left, 1 bead into the fishing line on your right, and then you are going to cross with the 3rd bead. Okay, so you just go ahead and make this as long as you want. If you want your mat to be wider, because the one I showed was a single row mat, you could make a double row mat or a triple row mat. You can make your mat as thick as you want and as long as you want, depending on the bag that you're doing. Okay, so you can watch the in-depth class on how to bead a mat in our first class and our second class that we have for this our entire course. So for our third and fourth handle, we are going to be getting into tubes. We are going to get started with our 3x4 tube handle, and I'm going to show you guys why I call it that. Okay, so that's basically a name that I gave it because that's the only way I could explain it to someone. Right, so there are 2 ways that you can build this handle, and I'm going to start right now with the first way. So to start, you're going to string 3 beads into your fishing line, and you're going to cross with the 3rd bead just as you see me do, like so, and you're going to have 3 beads like this. Now this is our base of our handle. Okay, this is the base of our handle. So we are just going to start building the tube right now. So this first method, we are building the tube immediately, and the second method I'm going to show is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so you're going to grab one end of your fishing line, and you're going to pick up 3 beads, and you are going to cross with the 3rd bead. And when you cross, this is how it's going to look like. As you can see, we have a ring of 4. Let's continue. The fishing line facing down, or the fishing line facing on my right hand, I'm going to insert it into the 2nd bead of the base. Right, remember I said that those first 3 beads were the base. That's the second bead of the base. Then the fishing line on my left, or the one facing upward, I'm going to pick up 2 beads and I'm going to cross with the second bead. And when you cross, it's going to give us another ring of 4, right? Now we are going to go into the last bead of our base. That is the third bead of our base. We are going to insert, that's the fishing line on my right, or the one facing downwards. I'm going to insert my fishing line into that last bead, and I'm going to insert it into that very first bead that we picked at the beginning of this row. You know, when we pick the 3 beads at the beginning, I'm inserting my fishing line into that bead. Then I'm going to pick up one more bead and I'm going to cross with the other end of the fishing line, and this completes row number 1 of our tube. Now immediately you are done with that row, you're going to see 3 beads appear on top, but at the sides we have 4 beads, so that is why I call it a 3 by 4 tube handle, right? So we are going to go to the next row, we are going to move on to the next row to build the next row, right? So you are going to go ahead and pick up 3 beads. So whenever you start a row, you start by picking up 3 beads and you're going to cross with the third bead. And you can see again that is a ring of 4, and I'm going to insert my fishing line into the second of the 3 beads that we have for our next base. Okay, so I'm inserting my fishing line into the second of those 3 beads, the second bead of those 3 beads, and with the other fishing line, which is the fishing line on my left, I'm going to pick up 2 beads and I am going to cross with the second bead, and that is going to form another circle of 4. To end the row is the same thing. You insert your fishing line into that third bead right there, then into the first bead of that row, pick up one more bead and you're going to cross with that one bead. So this method, like I said, you are building the tube immediately. Now you can find this type of handle on bags like the pyramid beaded bag or the triangular beaded bag. I have a tutorial for that bag on my channel, so if you're interested you can go ahead and check it out. So this is how our tube is looking like. So you go ahead and build this for as long as you want. The sides are always going to have 4 beads, but the top and the bottom is going to have 3 beads. Now for the second method of the 3 by 4 handle, you are basically going to build a mat. Now to build the mat, you can go ahead and start building your rings of 4 for however long you want the handle to be. Then you go ahead and add a second row. Okay, so you need a 2 by, say, a 2 by 10 mat or a 2 by 20 mat, but I will advise you to start by building from the 2. Like, don't start building the entire length first, the first row with the entire length first. Do the first 2 rows, the first ring of 4, then the next ring of 4 you're going to turn, go back and build that ring until you have a very long mat, 2 by, let's say, 10. And doing it this way is going to help you to decide how long you want the handle to be. So if you go and make a very long mat, just a single row mat from the beginning, and maybe you want to shorten it somewhere during your project, it's going to be difficult to correct that because you need to go and take down everything else. Okay, so for example, what I'm doing is making the entire length of the mat first, then making the width. Okay, so my advice, you could still do it, but I'll advise you to do the width of your mat first, which is the 2 rows, then build up from those 2 rows till maybe you get to 10 rows. Okay, don't go and do at the beginning do 10 circles or 4, then you go and start making the second row, you start building the second row of the mat. If you need to do some changes, it's going to be difficult doing that. Okay, so but here I'm just showing you how I was doing the length of the mat first before doing the, like, determining the width. So I'm saying determine the width first before determine the width so that you know how long you want it to be, right? I really hope that is making sense. So I just finished up with my second row, and if you take note at where I crossed as if I was about to turn to start a new row. Okay, so that's how you want to cross. You don't want to cross as if you're moving forward. Now what we are going to do, so this is a 2x4 mat. This is a 2x4 mat. So I determined the length first, which was 4, before making the second row. I hope that is making sense now. So what you're going to do now is to fold it like so. Then the fishing line that is on my right, I am going to pick up one bead on that fishing line, and then I'm going to insert it into the corresponding bead on the first row like so. Then I am going to pick up one more bead and I am going to cross it. Right, so you can see we have those rings of 4. Then at the bottom we have our 3 beads. We have the rings of 4 on the sides but 3 beads at the bottom. So insert your fishing line on your right to the next bead into the following bead. Insert the fishing line on your left into the following bead on its own row. Then pick up one bead and you go ahead and cross it. So just repeat the same thing until you get to the end. Insert the fishing line on your right into the following bead, the fishing line on your left into the following bead. Pick up one bead and you cross it until you get to the end. Then you remember how to tie off if you need to tie off. That class is up on the channel. I believe it was our 3rd class. Okay, so this is basically it for making the 3x4 tube handle. When you're done, this is how it looks, and it's basically the same thing as the first one that we did. Okay, I just want to say, if you do end up watching the pyramid beaded bag on my channel, I used to call this at first the 3x3 beaded handle, so do not get confused. Now I just think 3x4 is a better way of calling it. So this is how you do the 3x4 beaded handle. The same like the 3x4 tube handle, the 4x4 handle tube handle is going to have 2 methods of working it. So we are starting with the first method right now. And like I said, the same like the 3x4 handle, we are going to start the first method. We are going to start building the tube immediately. So the first thing I am doing here is picking up 4 beads and crossing with the 4th bead. Now this circle of 4 or this ring of 4 or the cross is going to serve as our base. Now you're going to pick up 3 beads. You're going to start by picking up 3 beads. Then you are going to cross with the 3rd bead. Now working this can be a little bit tricky, so make sure you pay attention to which of the crosses or the circles was your base. So that's my base right there that I'm showing you, and I'm going to insert my fishing line into the 2nd bead of our base. Our base is made up of 4 beads. Our fishing line was originally in the 1st bead. Now I've inserted my fishing line into the 2nd bead, and with the other fishing line, which was the one on my left, I'm going to pick up 2 beads and I'm going to cross with the 2nd bead. As you can see, we have circles of 4 like that. Then we are going to insert our fishing line into the following bead, that is the 3rd bead from our base, and with the fishing line on the left, you're going to pick up 2 beads and you're going to cross with the 2nd bead. We are almost done. So to complete our row 1, because this is row 1 of our tube, you're going to insert the fishing line on your right into the 4th bead of that circle. Insert your fishing line to that 4th bead right there. I'm just working on my lighting. So insert your fishing line into that 4th bead right there, and you're going to insert that same fishing line, the fishing line on your right, into the very 1st bead of the row. Remember those 3 beads that we picked at the beginning of the row? Insert that fishing line into the 1st bead. Then you pick up 1 bead and you are going to cross with that 1 bead. So it's basically the same as the 3x4 tube handle. The method is the same. You start by picking up 3 beads and you always end by crossing with 1 bead. So as you can see, this is how it looks like. Our top and bottom has 4 beads, and we have a cube, what I like to call a cube right now, and we're going to continue building our handle. So to continue, you know the drill. You pick up 3 beads, then you cross with the 3rd bead. Then with the fishing line on your right, you're going to insert that fishing line into the following bead, that is the 2nd bead from our base. With the fishing line on your left, you're going to pick up 2 beads and you're going to cross with the 2nd bead. Okay, when you have that, you are going to pick up 2 beads again and you're going to cross with the 2nd bead until you get to your end. And when we get to the end, know that your end is going to be the same. You're going to insert your fishing line into the 4th bead right there and into the 1st bead of the row right there, and you're just going to pick up 1 bead and you're going to cross with that 1 bead. So I'm sure you can tell by now why I call it the 4x4 handle, because the base is 4, has a circle of 4, and the sides also have a circle of 4, and you can build this for however long you need it to be. Okay, now let's move on to the second way that the second method to build your 4x4 tube handle. So it's similar to the second method on how to do the 3x4 handle, but this time you're going to make a 3 by however long mat, right? So you're going to make a 3 by however long mat that you need. So this entire series we've been learning how to make mats, so just go ahead and do it. This mat, my mat is a 3 by 5 mat. I started by doing the length first. I did 5, then I worked the 3 rows, but I'm advising you to work the 3 rows first, then you build it up to 5 or to 10, but you should have the 3 rows down first. And the same thing that I did with the 3 by 4, I crossed my fishing line like I was about to do a turn, and I have 3 rows, as you can see, 3 by 5, and we are going to fold our mat. So you're going to take one side and you are going to fold it the way I just showed you. Okay, so fold it like this, fold one row, let it face upwards, the other row on the other side, fold it, let it face downwards, and the middle row is supposed to be touching the table or whatever place you're working on. And I'm using a green bead here so you guys can see. I picked up 1 green bead with a fishing line on my right, or the one facing away from my work, and strung it on that fishing line. Then I'm picking up another bead and I'm crossing with the other fishing line. It's basically similar to what we did for the 3 by 4 handle. So you insert your fishing line into the following beads on each side, pick up another bead and cross with that bead. So insert your fishing line into the following bead from the right, insert your fishing line into the following bead on the left, then you pick up 1 bead and you cross with that 1 bead. And of course you are going to do this until you get to the end. Now it's a handle, so you can make your handle as long as you want. If you are doing this particular method and you realize that your handle is too short, you can go ahead and use the first method that I showed you, that is building on the tube, to continue the handle to make it as long as you wish. Or you make 2 different handles and you join them together the way I showed you guys how to join 2 beaded pieces. Just make sure that you are using the corresponding beads, you're matching the corresponding beads. So this is how our tube is looking like, and it's basically similar to what we had. So that is everything. As you can see, those are the 2 tubes side by side. the 3x4 tube is clearly smaller than the 4x4 tube. Okay, so that is basically everything for this class. Thank you so much for watching, and I am going to see you guys in the 8th class. So see you there.